A recurring fantasy functions as a diagnostic tool. It identifies a specific, neglected need in the waking world. This line represents longing. It is the measurable distance between the conditions of our current reality and the requirements of our inner life. When waking life feels too small or too lonely, the mind builds elaborate inner architectures to fill the void. However, a rich imagination reaches a threshold. It can act as a bridge toward repair, or it can become a locked room that traps the dreamer in a cycle of avoidance. In The Mirror of Dreams, Julian is a writer living in a cramped apartment. He is surrounded by towers of books and the smell of old wood, yet he feels entirely unseen by the city outside his window. Julian uses his imagination to protect himself. He writes about a world of silence and beauty because he is afraid of the friction and the demands of real relationships. Escaping into a dream without investigating its root cause results in a paradox. The more Julian retreats, the more the original wound of isolation grows. Eventually, the mirror on Julian's desk liquefies. He steps through into a starlit garden where the sky is silver and midnight at the edges. In this garden, he meets Layla. She is the princess of this world, and she initially appears to be the perfect, frictionless reply to Julian's lifelong ache. This environment poses a first principles question. If a beautiful world is designed solely to soothe the dreamer, is it a place of freedom or just a highly decorated cage? This is the trap of the flattering mirror. We are drawn to these fantasies because, unlike real life, they never ask us to change, to compromise, or to admit we are wrong. In the dream, Julian is held at his most meaningful angle. In reality, he has to face a stubborn window, cold tea, and a neighbor's radio playing through the wall. When Julian worships this idealized image, he stops seeing Lena as a person. She becomes a statue, a reward for his loneliness that offers no actual truth. The dream world eventually shifts. Julian enters a corridor of mirrors and sees himself repeatedly closing curtains and turning beauty into an excuse to hide. He finds Layla sitting alone beside a dry fountain, her crown placed on the grass. She tells him that while he was busy imagining her in a moment of perfect beauty, she was lonely long before he arrived. This realization breaks the projection. Julian is forced to acknowledge that Layla has her own past, her own grief, and an independent reality that does not exist solely to comfort him. A dream becomes toxic when it convinces the dreamer that the real world is unworthy of their participation. For Julian, the dream only becomes transformative when he learns that love requires acknowledging the limits and the dignity of the person he loves. Julian understands that he cannot stay in the palace. He must extract the lessons of the dream and carry them back to his apartment to begin repairing his real life. Ravindra Kumar Nayak follows the narrative with a set of methods for translating these internal shifts into external action. This begins by isolating a specific longing and removing the drama until only the smallest, honest question remains. Instead of fleeing into a fantasy, the goal is to identify exactly what the fantasy is trying to say. To avoid paralysis, a massive dream must be sliced into manageable pieces, or daily bread. When an abstract longing is broken down, it ceases to be a weight and instead becomes a staircase of habits. If the dream is about connection, the first step is not to build a mind palace. It is to make tea for a neighbor or answer a knock at the door that has been ignored for months. A dream is only valuable if it eventually teaches the waking hand to move. The clarity found in a dream becomes the foundation for the next honest action in the street. By dividing the complexity of our inner lives, we learn the art of bravely rebuilding our outer ones.